I transmigrated into a book as the villainous male supporting character. And just as my mission was about to end, my CEO wife suddenly gained the ability to read minds. She had no idea I was still diligently playing my part, vowing to divorce me over my dead body, while I was inwardly screaming for her to just throw the divorce papers in my face. I needed her and her first love to get together and stop delaying my $1 billion reward. Unexpectedly, my CEO wife's personality did a complete 180, and she even announced to the media that she was pregnant and that we would absolutely not be getting a divorce. I stormed into a gathering with my wife, Sarah, and her first love, Caleb, picked up a glass of wine and without a word, splashed it right in Caleb's face. Mindful of the others present, Sarah couldn't lose her temper and just pulled him to the restroom to clean up. According to the original plot, my outrageous behavior was supposed to make her demand a divorce on the spot. After I pestered her a few more times to make her completely despise me, I'd be able to complete the mission and collect my $1 billion. The thought of becoming a billionaire so soon made the smile on my face harder to suppress than a machine gun. Someone at the table kindly reminded me, "Dude, are you okay? You look a little unhinged." I quickly wiped the grin off my face, arranging my features into a look of pure sorrow. Sarah walked back, and just then, I rolled my eyes, crossed my arms, and asked arrogantly, "I barely did anything to him. Is it really worth all this fuss?" "Sarah, do you even remember that I'm your husband?" Sarah looked at me without expression, her eyes dark and unreadable, but inside I was thrilled. "Come on, scold me. Then warn me that if I ever dare to bully your first love again, you'll kill me." Sarah first asked her other friends to leave, then walked up to me and said calmly, "I was just checking on a friend. Don't get the wrong idea." What? This wasn't how the plot was supposed to go. I steeled myself, smashed a glass on the floor, and sneered, "I'm telling you, don't think that just because Caleb is back you can be with him. You want a divorce? It'll be over my dead body." But inside, I was bewildered. "I'm acting this horribly, and you can still stand it? Come on, bring up the divorce, then throw the papers you've had prepared right in my face. You and your precious first love can finally be together, and you won't be delaying my $1 billion payout." To my surprise, Sarah just smiled faintly, staring at me with a look of great interest. "Honey, what are you thinking about? I love you. Why would I ever divorce you?" I froze, feeling as if I'd been struck by lightning. What was happening? Wasn't she supposed to be completely in love with her first love? Something must have gone wrong somewhere. Let me think. As I stood there frowning, Sarah walked right up to me, wrapped her arms around my waist, and snuggled into my chest. My whole body went stiff. Her scent filled my senses as she giggled softly. "Honey, I was wrong before. From now on, I want to be with you forever." "No way, you've got it all wrong. I'm just the villainous supporting character. Your first love, Caleb, is your real soulmate." 3 years ago, I transmigrated into this cheesy romance novel, becoming the villainous supporting character who was obsessed with the female lead, Sarah. After her first love left the country, I took advantage of the situation and married her. Then, after he returned, I was supposed to use every dirty trick in the book, ultimately facing the consequences while the main couple lived happily ever after. To complete my mission and get that $1 billion, I was completely dedicated, never slacking for a moment, and I even acted more despicably than the character in the original plot. For 3 years, everything went according to plan. I was Sarah's devoted lapdog, but she was a block of ice, constantly thinking about her first love and loathing everything I did. Then, 3 days before Caleb was due to return from abroad, she fell while hiking near San Jose, hit her head, and went into a coma. When she woke up, she was a little different. The first thing she did at home was burn everything related to Caleb, and now her attitude toward him seemed nothing like the passionate devotion described in the book. Could it be that my acting today was so bad that Sarah saw right through me? Impossible. I can doubt anything else, but not my acting skills. Even the system, which had been silent for ages, once praised my extraordinary talent, saying that sometimes my performance made it want to punch me. If it's not my problem, then it's Caleb's. He clearly hasn't been tormented enough by me. Honey, why are you ignoring me? Sarah pressed her entire body against mine, her hand secretly slipping under my shirt. I tensed up and grabbed her wandering hand. Wasn't she the one who always avoided any physical contact with me? If this kept up, things were going to get R-rated, and I'm terrible at acting out love scenes. To be honest, Sarah had fair skin, a beautiful face, a slim waist, and long legs. If we were to actually do something, it wouldn't exactly be a loss for me. She chuckled softly, nibbling at my Adam's apple. What's wrong? Can't hold back anymore. I was screaming internally. Sarah frowned and kissed me. So noisy. All I could hear was the pounding of my own heart. Just as Sarah was about to take things further, the door to the private room opened. Caleb stood there, his face pale and his eyes dark. Perfect opportunity. I wrapped my arm around Sarah's waist and deepened the kiss until it was messy, then looked at him provocatively. Caleb, who do you think you are? I'm Sarah's husband. The leading man had finally arrived. Now watch me torture you to death. Caleb just pursed his lips, looking both hurt and humiliated. He cried out, when you used to chase me, telling me you loved me, was all of that fake? I was young and naive. I made a mistake in judgment. Sarah's tone was ice cold, which confused me even more. In the book, Sarah was supposed to be so deeply in love with Caleb that she couldn't live without him. Caleb pleaded, I know you're upset with me, but I didn't have a choice back then. When I was in London, I thought about you every single moment. I hope that now that I'm back, I can make up for my mistakes and we can be together again. I have a husband. Sarah cut him off mercilessly. He clutched his chest and started coughing, looking utterly pitiful. Sarah gave me a light punch on the arm and whispered, What are you staring at? Then, without even glancing at Caleb, she continued, As you can see, my husband and I have a wonderful relationship. I only came to this dinner because an old classmate from Stanford invited me. My husband has a bit of a temper and gets jealous easily, so I don't want him to get the wrong idea. Had Sarah lost her mind? This was the first love she had obsessed over for 3 years. Please, just get back together with him already. I'm ready for my part to be over. I want my money. My mind was in turmoil, but Sarah just pinched my side and shot me a glare. I let out a soft hiss, which, from Caleb's perspective, must have looked like we were flirting. He took a deep breath, looking like he was about to shatter. Sarah, are you serious? Have you forgotten how he tricked you into marrying him 3 years ago? Sarah looked up at Caleb, a smirk playing on her lips. Speaking of that, I've been meaning to ask you something. You kept saying you loved me, but when my family's company, Prescott Industries, was in trouble and I needed you most, where were you? Caleb was left speechless. Sarah took my hand and started walking toward the door. As they passed each other, Caleb grabbed her wrist, his eyes turning red. Sarah, please, just give me one more chance, okay? His voice trembled slightly. Unexpectedly, Sarah let go of my hand, calmly pried his fingers off her wrist, and replied coldly, I'm not the kind of person who goes back to their exes. Mr. Vance, please have some self-respect. Caleb stood there, stunned and looking utterly dejected. I was stunned too. How had the plot collapsed this badly? Alarm bells were ringing in my head. Sarah couldn't have actually fallen in love with me, could she? If so, how was I ever going to complete my mission? Don't panic. I told myself, the female lead is probably just being stubborn. You're being so dramatic. Without me, the two of them would break up sooner or later anyway. Sarah clicked her tongue in disapproval. You still have time to worry about others? Pay attention to yourself. In the back of the town car, Sarah's hand started to wander again, her warm breath hitting my neck. As I pushed her away, I whispered, The driver is still up front. She just laughed. Then just be quiet. With that, her hand moved lower. I gasped and quickly grabbed it. What was wrong with Sarah? She used to look at me like I was something she'd scraped off her shoe, which completely killed any interest I might have had. Sometimes I couldn't help but complain to myself about how blind the female lead was. She didn't want a handsome, 6'1" guy like me, preferring that heartless, ungrateful jerk instead. Sarah's expression shifted, and then she cooed at me. I only just realized today how handsome you are. So much more handsome than Caleb. I lifted my chin proudly. Of course I am. She laughed at my cocky attitude. I'm perfectly clear-headed, don't worry. I haven't taken anything. I know exactly what I'm doing. I thought it was strange. Sarah was just the female lead in a book. She didn't have any special powers. But it almost felt like she could read my mind. Realizing this, I quickly relaxed and changed the subject. You hit your head a few days ago. The doctor said you need a rest, so let's get some sleep. She looked at me thoughtfully, then nodded in agreement. A moment later, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. She must have really scrambled her brain a few days ago. She'd be back to normal in no time. The next day, I went to Sarah's company. When I saw Caleb in the conference room, I raised an eyebrow, but wasn't surprised at all. It seemed yesterday was just a fluke. The plot was still on track. He suddenly spoke up. I didn't get a good look yesterday, but seeing you today, you really do look a lot like me. The stand-in trope. I knew this one well. He was trying to provoke me. I played right into it, pointing at Caleb furiously and yelling. How could you possibly compare to me? I'm Sarah's legitimate husband. You're nothing but a homewrecker. The one who isn't loved is the third party. He shot back, not missing a beat. You know who Sarah loves in her heart better than I do. I had to admit, the kid was good at pushing buttons. I grabbed his collar, pretending I was about to punch him. The sound of high heels approached. Caleb gave me a meaningful smirk and then threw himself backward. The tea on the table went flying, and his back hit the corner of the table, drawing blood. This guy was such a drama queen. I hadn't even touched him, and he'd already acted out the entire scene by himself. A second later, Sarah's surprised voice rang out. What happened? Caleb, wincing in pain, quickly said, Sarah, it's not his fault. It was me, I was careless. I understood instantly, putting on a stern expression. I pushed him. What's the matter, Sarah? Feeling sorry for him? I'm telling you, if I ever see you bothering my wife again, I'll beat you every single time. His eyes welled up with tears, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. How could Sarah not feel sorry for him when he looked like that? Okay, now she was definitely going to yell at me. I'd bullied her precious first love this badly. If she could still tolerate it, was she even human? Just as I was thinking that, Sarah gave a look to her assistant, who came in to help Caleb up. But Sarah just linked her arm through mine and said affectionately, I'll do whatever my husband says. Both Caleb and I were completely dumbfounded. Caleb clearly wasn't ready to give up, looking back with a resentful expression as he was led away. I wasn't about to let it go either, so I added fuel to the fire. You see that, Caleb? Stop daydreaming. With your flimsy build, you'd better steer clear of me next time. I'm afraid if I push you again, you might just disappear. Caleb stopped in his tracks, as if he'd suddenly remembered something. He grabbed Sarah's sleeve and said with difficulty, Sarah, the reason I came back was to tell you that I have stomach cancer. The doctor said I have 3 months left at most. The terminal illness had to be fake, but it was a classic move. Now Sarah would have to feel sorry for him. Sure enough, Sarah paused. Really? Caleb nodded with a bitter smile. Look at me. I've gotten so thin. I immediately chimed in. I can vouch for that. He falls over with a single push. Sarah shot me an unreadable glance. I cleared my throat, finding the perfect excuse to escape. Well, since that's the case, I'm not a petty person. You two should have a nice chat. I have things to do, so I'll be going. I was practically vibrating with excitement. They finally had time alone. Caleb, don't let me down. Use your charm to win Sarah over. I'll just be waiting for that divorce and my $1 billion seat at the winner's table. This time, Caleb really didn't disappoint. The next day, a video of him and Sarah going back to her apartment in downtown Chicago was the #1 trending topic. Sarah, with her image as a beautiful and powerful woman, had always been a huge figure on social media, and her on-again, off-again relationship with her childhood sweetheart was a constant topic of public fascination. Not only that, but videos of me throwing wine on Caleb at the club and of him being pushed at the office were all over the internet. There were reporters camped outside my door, and the second I stepped out, they swarmed me with questions. One reporter from TMZ asked me, Mr. Hayes, do you have any comment on the situation between your wife and Caleb Vance? I dutifully played my role as the villain, standing in the way of true love, and replied resentfully, a homewrecker and an affair. What's there to say? The same reporter pressed on. But we heard you used dirty tactics to marry Ms. Prescott in the first place. Now that her true love is back, and they're a perfect match, don't you think you're being a little unfair by holding her emotionally hostage like this? I kept a straight face, but inwardly I gave this reporter a thumbs up. Back when Sarah was at her lowest, Caleb abandoned her, leaving her completely alone. Everyone in our social circle knows that. How could you not? She was stumped by my question, but after a moment she asked another. It's well known that you and Ms. Prescott have a bad relationship. You've never even spent an anniversary together. Why are you so determined to maintain this marriage that exists in name only? I don't want to. I roared internally. But on the outside, I had to keep up the act. So I just snorted coldly and walked away without looking back, creating the perfect image of a stubborn, lonely man. A clip of that interview quickly went viral on Twitter. A lot of people were trashing me. This guy is disgusting. He obviously took advantage of the situation to trick Sarah into marrying him, and now he's acting like the victim. He's nothing compared to Caleb. Caleb is Sarah's first love. Neither Sarah nor Caleb have said a word, but this guy is jumping around like a clown trying to get attention. Why hasn't Sarah said anything? I want to see her publicly humiliate him. Things have gotten this bad, and he still won't agree to a divorce. I bet he's just after her money. What a shameless loser. I scrolled through the comments tearing me apart, and my mood was a little complicated. Thinking back on the 3 years I'd spent as her doormat, I really had given it my all. If she didn't want to go on a date, I'd wait downstairs from her office building for hours just in case. When she got drunk, I was her designated driver. She always used business trips to avoid our wedding anniversary, so I'd fly to whatever city she was in, wait until she ran out of excuses, and we'd have one meal together before I took the first flight back the next morning. If I didn't have this omniscient perspective, to be so devoted to someone and get nothing in return would have been truly heartbreaking. But right now, instead of lamenting the fate of a supporting character, I should be celebrating the fact that my mission is almost complete. Because in the book, my character's final ending comes after Sarah and Caleb rekindle their old flame. I continue to cause trouble, trying to turn public opinion against Caleb, but instead, I get canceled by the internet and fade away into obscurity. Right now, they've probably gone back together, and I'm being dragged online. Completing my mission is just around the corner. I almost hope they insult me even more viciously. The more hateful I seem, the more sympathy the public will have for Caleb. Sarah called me. On the phone, she asked cautiously if the negative press was getting to me. I sniffled dramatically and said viciously, "Sarah, stop pretending. I'm telling you, as long as I'm in the picture, that Caleb of yours will always be nothing but a dirty little secret." I could hear Caleb's voice faintly in the background. "Sarah, just being with you like this is enough for me." My heart leaped with joy. Wow, they're already living together? Caleb, you dog. Sarah, hurry up and divorce me. My 1 billion is waiting for those papers. Suddenly, Sarah got angry, her voice rising several octaves. Say that again. I hung up without a second thought, figuring it would make her even angrier and she'd divorce me in a fit of rage. Perfect. But 3 days passed, and Sarah didn't come home, nor did she mention a divorce. I figured maybe Caleb wasn't pushing hard enough. I'd have to step in myself. An idea struck me. I registered a new Twitter account and posted 3 inflammatory tweets. Here I am. It's Morrison Hayes. If you want to insult me, line up right here. You think I'll be defeated by a bunch of trolls? True love is bullshit. I'll stay with Sarah for the rest of our lives. Let's see who gives up first. Ha! Sarah, you want to run off into the sunset with your first love? Dream on. Caleb, you worthless cockroach. Why don't you just go die? Instantly, the situation exploded. My phone number was leaked, and I was bombarded with calls, texts, and even random Venmo payments. I put my phone on airplane mode, which meant I completely missed Sarah's official statement. The next morning, the landline rang. It was my assistant, telling me to check the trending topics immediately. Mr. Hayes, you've finally answered. Ms. Prescott just announced you're going to be a father. My brain short-circuited. I frantically opened Sarah's Facebook page. Last night, she had posted an ultrasound picture with the caption, My husband was just afraid of losing me. That's why he acted so erratically online. Please try to understand. Our relationship is wonderful, and we're excited to welcome a new life together. We will absolutely not be divorcing. Please be respectful and stop spreading rumors, or I will not hesitate to take legal action. With that, the internet absolutely exploded. After a full night, Sarah's name and mine were still at the top of the charts. No one could have predicted that Sarah, who was always subtly posting about her past on social media, would actually be having a child with me and publicly declaring her love for me. In that case, Caleb is definitely the other man. I think he's the most manipulative one of all. Okay, party's over. The first love turned out to be a villain. The second male lead gets the girl, and they live happily ever after. We laughed at his madness, but he was laughing at our ignorance. Enough said. I wish them well. I was completely lost. This plot point was definitely not in the book. I immediately stormed into Sarah's office. She was sitting at her desk reading a file and looked up at me, as calm as ever. No need to thank me. We're family. It's what I should do. My chest was heaving. I roared internally. Thank you for what? A divorce. I want a divorce. And what was this about a child? Besides at one time a few days ago when Sarah lost her mind, I hadn't touched her once in 3 years. How could she possibly be pregnant? She smiled, tilting her head and blinking. We don't have one now, but that doesn't mean we won't in the future. Haven't you always wanted to have a child with me? I was speechless. If I wasn't obsessed with the female lead, could I even be called the villainous supporting character? I was just playing a role. How could you take it seriously? Sarah stood up, walked over to me, and gently caressed my face, her voice full of emotion. Honey, I really know I was wrong now. You're the one who has always been best to me. From now on, I'll love you the way you've loved me. I will protect you. You're not allowed to go anywhere. I pretended to be moved. Sarah, I've finally won you over. But inside, I was screaming. Sarah has really fallen in love with me. Sarah has really fallen in love with me. What do I do now? Is my 1 billion just gone? Just then, there was a commotion at the door. Caleb pushed past the assistant, trying to block him, and burst into the room. You wouldn't see me, so I had no choice but to let myself in, he said. Sarah smirked. What's the matter? Done faking a terminal illness. Ugh, this Caleb. If his acting skills were even half as good as mine, he would have won the girl ages ago. I left with the assistant, once again giving the two of them space. It was now or never. Just in case, I hid outside the door to eavesdrop. Caleb kept his head down, his fists clenched, still unwilling to give up. I lied to you. It's true, but only because I love you so much. Are you really having a child with Morrison? Aren't you supposed to love me the most? Mr. Vance, Sarah's tone was icy, giving him no ground whatsoever. I believe I made myself very clear before. I love my husband, and I want to have his child. Your recent actions have made me extremely angry, especially you arranging for reporters to slander my husband. If it weren't for our past history, you wouldn't even have the chance to be standing in front of me right now. Sarah, is that really how you see me? Caleb forced a bitter smile, his expression full of hurt. It's only been 3 years, but you've changed so much. You actually believe Morrison? Don't you know what kind of person he is? He's been targeting me from the start, and you're helping him. Don't let him deceive you. Caleb was right. According to Sarah's character in the book, she was supposed to trust Caleb unconditionally and despise a malicious person like me. So why was she defending me with every word? Are you finished? Sarah pulled out a checkbook, filled out a check, and handed it to Caleb. You think I don't know what your little plan is? You abandoned me when my family's fortune collapsed, and now that I've rebuilt everything, you want to come back for a piece of the pie. Let me tell you, that's not happening. Take this $50 million and get lost. What was going on? Wasn't this $50 million the settlement Sarah was supposed to give me when we divorced? Shouldn't I be the one getting lost? Why was it Caleb? Caleb, if you're a man, you'll refuse it. Who knew? Caleb really wasn't much of a man. He hesitated for a second, then took the check. Then, right in front of Sarah, he tore in half. Sarah, it's okay if you don't believe me. I have a way to make you believe me. With that, he walked toward the door. I didn't have time to move and bumped right into him. He glared at me with red-rimmed eyes, his expression full of indignation. Before I could react, he had already run off. A few moments later, the assistant rushed in. It's terrible. Mr. Vance is on the roof. He says he's going to jump to prove his innocence. Sarah and I rushed up to the rooftop. Caleb was standing right on the edge of the ledge, looking as if he'd lost all hope. A crowd was already gathering on the street below. Sarah's face was grim as she pleaded with him not to be impulsive, to come down so they could talk. I was already annoyed that his terrible acting had completely derailed the plot, and now he was pulling this stunt? This was only going to push Sarah further away. While he was busy trying to play the victim for Sarah, I grabbed him and yanked him back from the edge. I poured all my pent-up frustration into my fist and punched him square in the face. What is this pathetic, tragic act? It's unbearable to watch. It's because you're so incompetent. I can't carry you through this. I created so many opportunities for you. Why are you so useless? And now my 1 billion is about to go up in smoke. All because of you, you jinx. It took a couple of security guards rushing up to pull us apart. Later, as we were getting our wounds bandaged at the emergency room in Northwestern Memorial, we just stared at each other. Remembering Caleb's "I want to die, but not really" attitude on the roof, I couldn't help but scoff. I suddenly remembered what the system had told me at the very beginning. If the plot truly went off the rails, I had one last resort: faking my own death. My part in the story was already finished. As long as I made my exit, the mission would be considered complete. Sarah was fussing over me the whole time, and Caleb, unable to stand it, walked away with his arm in a sling, looking dejected. While Sarah was on the phone, I ran out and stopped him. "Hey, how about we team up?" It seemed I had to carry this team myself. The next day, Sarah received news that we had both been kidnapped. The kidnappers we hired informed us everything is going according to plan. Sarah has already left the house with the ransom money. Caleb was still skeptical. "She definitely won't save me. I don't understand the point of this plan." "And that's why you can't win her over," I said, rolling my eyes at him. "Right now, I'm the only one who can help you." In reality, this was all an elaborate performance I had set up to fake my own death. If I was gone, maybe Caleb and Sarah would finally have a chance to be together. Sarah arrived quickly. "Let them go. I'll agree to any condition." Following the script, the kidnapper stated his terms. "Sorry, Miss Prescott. You can only save one of them. You have to choose." "What? That's not what you said on the phone." Sarah was shocked. "Enough talk, Miss Prescott. If you don't agree, I'll kill them both." The kidnapper continued, reciting his lines. "Sera Luc Ton." "Let me think about it." I gave Caleb a look, and he understood immediately. He put on an expression of deep love mixed with a willingness to die. "Sarah, I know you won't choose me. Let me be the one to die. I wish you and Morrison a lifetime of happiness." He even managed to squeeze out a few tears. I had to admit, when it came to being a drama queen, I was no match for Caleb. The kidnapper turned to me. "Mr. Hayes, what about you? Any last words?" Sarah stared at me intently. I just smiled at her. "Sarah, I'm afraid I can't be with you anymore. Goodbye." As soon as the words left my mouth, the abandoned warehouse we were in began to shake violently. The building's collapsing. "Run!" The kidnapper was the first to react, shouting at the top of his lungs. Sarah grabbed my hand and ran for the exit, with Caleb right behind us. Just as we reached the door, I pulled my hand free from Sarah's grasp and shoved Caleb forward. Under her incredulous gaze, I vanished into the roar of the collapsing structure. The last thing I heard was her heart-wrenching scream. "Morrison!" Of course, I wasn't actually dead. I had carefully selected this warehouse and planted some small explosives in the basement. One blast, and the whole structure would become unstable. I had also dug a hidden tunnel near the exit. On the surface, it looked like I was buried in the rubble, but in reality, I had slipped away through the tunnel. After successfully faking my death, I threw my head back and yelled at the sky, "I'm finally free." The system's voice suddenly spoke in my mind. "Host, are you happy?" I jumped, then immediately cursed it. "You son of a gun, you finally decide to show up. Hurry up and give me my 1 billion. The system replied, "The money has already been deposited into your account. You haven't answered my question." Of course I'm happy. I'm finally done acting in this ridiculous soap opera. Do you have any idea how much I've had to hold back these past 3 years? That being said, I still felt a little guilty about Sarah. After all, I had lied to her. I chose the $1 billion. But then I comforted myself by thinking that any normal person would have made the same choice. Besides, her relationship with Caleb had probably already heated up by now. I lived a carefree life in Miami for a while. To completely cut ties with the past, I forbade the system from telling me anything about Sarah or Caleb. One day, the system, being its usual annoying self, asked, "Host, do you really think Sarah is the type of person who gives up easily?" I shook my head and sighed. If she gave up that easily, she wouldn't have been hung up on Caleb for all those years. I paused. Wait a minute. System, what are you implying? You're overthinking it, host. I narrowed my eyes, then leaned back in my rocking chair on the porch, kicking my feet up. My death was clean. There were no loose ends. Even if Sarah found out, what could she do? The world is a big place. Where would she even begin to look for me? The words had barely left my mouth when a woman's voice came from behind me. Morrison, you were hard to find. I was so startled I slipped and fell right off the chair. What the hell? You useless system. Why didn't you warn me? The system replied. Host, you're the one who told me not to say anything. After that accident, Sarah searched high and low but could never find your body. She never believed you were dead and has been looking for you ever since. Sarah walked toward me, a smile on her face. What was I supposed to do? Damn it, Sarah. Did I owe her something in a past life? Is this really how a female lead is supposed to act? Maybe I could just pretend I didn't know her. There are plenty of people in the world who look alike. I was about to speak, but Sarah cut me off, pressing a finger to my lips. Are you planning to pretend you don't know me? I'd advise you to give up on that idea. I would recognize you even if you returned to ash. How did she know? Sarah stood up straight, looking down at me. That time I went hiking, after I hit my head, I developed the ability to read your mind. Morrison, stop your inner monologue. It's too loud. Sera honnête. I didn't believe her. Sarah, you're a big liar. Her face darkened and her tone grew heavy. Try saying that one more time. She really could read minds. No wonder her personality had changed so drastically after she woke up from the coma. Did that mean she'd heard all of my internal complaints? How embarrassing. I was so proud of my acting skills, but it turned out I was the one being played by Sarah the entire time. I have a question, I said. Ask. How did you suddenly become so obsessed with me? Was it just because you thought listening to my thoughts was fun? She began to speak slowly. While I was in the coma, I had a dream. I dreamt that after Caleb returned, I was completely fixated on being with him. I hated you. Even though you repeatedly warned me that Caleb wasn't a good person, I just treated you with cold contempt. Later, I got my wish and ended up with Caleb, only to find out he was just using me. He spent all his time partying and eventually conspired with his mistress to have me killed. After I died, you were the only one who came to visit my grave each year. When I realized everything was unfolding exactly like the plot of my dream, I knew it wasn't a dream. It was a memory from a past life. Morrison, you are the one person worth cherishing for a lifetime. System, get out here right now. What is going on? Why is the plot I know different from hers? The system remained silent. Sarah smiled again. Don't bother. I told it to get lost. Morrison, I know just as much as you do now. You can't beat me. Her determined expression was actually quite attractive. I scratched my head. But I'm just the villainous supporting character. You're supposed to be with the male lead, Caleb. How can I steal the leading man's girl? My voice got quieter as I spoke. Sarah's voice, however, grew even softer. My life is my own to live, not some script written by someone else. For the past 3 years, even though I never said it, my heart was slowly falling for you. I fell in love with you a long time ago, Morrison. You are the one and only leading man in my life. Let's forget about the plot, okay? Besides, it's just a measly $1 billion. I can give you double. That day, the sun was perfect and Sarah's smile was beautiful. I nodded without even thinking. Come on, curse at me, I thought. All right, it's settled then, Sarah warned, leaning on my shoulder. If you run away again, I won't be so nice. My mind was in turmoil again. Sarah gritted her teeth. Are you cursing again? Ide furwuten. I quickly started reciting nursery rhymes in my head. By the 50th repetition of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, Sarah couldn't take any more and yelled, "Are you still reciting?" Then she kissed me. I couldn't recite anything anymore. Between kisses, she whispered, "Let's have a baby." Later, Sarah and I had a beautiful daughter. Sometimes I still worry. What if one day that damn system comes back, tells me I don't belong in this world, and takes me away? What would happen to Sarah then? Whenever she heard my thoughts, Sarah would always comfort me. "Don't worry, honey. No matter where you go, I'll find you. But what if the place I go isn't in this world? Then I'll wait for you right here. I won't go anywhere. When you come back, I'll recognize you in an instant."